Sandy, I'm one of your dietitians, and today we are talking about root to stem cooking. So it is Earth Month, so the idea is to show you how to use a fruit or a vegetable from root to stem so there's absolutely no waste. So we're actually going to be using ginger, more importantly ginger root today. If you've never seen ginger root, here it is, this pretty little thing, right? So it's very fragrant, it's really good for digestion, it helps all of your upset stomachs, it's anti-inflammatory. A lot of good comes from this nice little root. And we're making 3 things from this today. One is going to be a ginger ale, which is super simple to make so you don't have to buy it from the store. The next one is going to be candied ginger, the stuff that you typically buy at a bulk store, you can get it at a candy store. And then the third and last one is going to be ginger syrup. And that you can use in teas and different flavorings. I put it in ice cream or things like that. So let's get started. I'm going to show you this ginger root here is really firm. It's easy to kind of break off pieces here and there. And I can show you that really simply. If we had smell-o-vision, you could smell how amazing that smells. So you can use one of 2 things here. You can use a peeler or you can use a spoon. I prefer actually to use a spoon just because the peeler takes a little bit too much off of it. And then all you're going to do is grab the spoon kind of with your hand around the entire spoon that way. And my thumb is on the base of the ginger. And all I'm doing is lightly pressing it, and you can see here that it's peeling the ginger. And look, it only takes that much off the ginger, whereas if you use the peeler, you can see it's going to take a lot more of the fiber off of that. So I prefer to use that, and then you're gonna save your peels because you can actually, if you wanted to, make ginger tea from that, or you could add it to your stock, depending on what type of stock you're making. If you're making an Asian stock or anything like that, you can do it. So as you can see, I'm just peeling it. I already have some ginger done here, so we don't have to sit here and wait for me to peel all of this, but essentially that's what it's going to look like. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna take a chef's knife here once you peel it. I might peel another piece just so we have it, because I wanna show you kind of to do more things here. And you can see, look how nicely it comes off. And the thing with root to stem cooking, a lot of us have so much food waste in our house on a daily basis that we don't really realize how much food waste we have going in. And when I'm talking food waste, it doesn't necessarily mean just, spoiled food or anything like that. It means all food waste, from the peels of the ginger here, to onion peels, to pineapple peels and cores and things of that nature. So it cannot just mean your food spoilage. All right, so I have some ginger done, and then you can take off your little bits here if that's kind of gnarly looking, just cut it off. And you can use that there. All right, so the best way to do this, let me clear that out of your way, is taking your ginger, and I like to cut it on the bias here, so you're gonna see this is all cut on the bias, nice thick pieces. It doesn't have to be tiny bits at all, because we're gonna use these nice thick pieces to make some ginger candy. All right, what I'm gonna do is taking my knife, holding my little fingers away from my knife here, and cutting on a bias. And all that means is I'm turning the ginger root so it's not a flat cut, it's on a bias here, and I'm able to slice it about 1/8 of an inch thick. You can cut it thicker, thinner, there's really no rhyme or reason, however you feel like you wanna do it. And then with this one, I'm cutting off this little ball, I don't really need that. And then same thing here, cutting on a bias, watching my little fingers here, and then that's it. Now, put this in a bowl. You need about 1 cup of ginger. You can add more if you like it a little bit more spicy, it's up to you. With the ginger, all you're gonna do, I'm gonna move all this out of my way so you can see what I'm doing here, is I'm gonna take this nice saucepan or stock pot, whichever you prefer, and I'm placing my ginger, my cup of ginger in there, 1 cup of granulated sugar. If you want to use brown sugar, you can. It'll just change the color a little bit. And then all I'm adding into this is 4 cups of water. The remainder 4 cups of water is actually going to go into your container at the end. So this is going to go on the stove. And all you're going to do is you're going to put it over high heat just until it starts to boil. Then you're going to turn the heat off. Let it sit and cool at room temperature for about 2 hours, and then we're gonna show you what to do next. So that's all you're gonna do, and if you wanna get a little glimpse in here, you can see all it is 3 ingredients: ginger, water, sugar. Super simple, right? So I have some already done here, and this has been sitting for about 2 hours, and you can see that it's just steeping in there and all that ginger essence has come about. Now, what we're gonna do, since we've taken a lot of that ginger flavor, is I'm gonna strain the ginger out of this, the ginger pieces. All I have is a strainer and something to put it in. Straining this out, because we want all the liquid. We don't really care for the ginger pieces at this point in time. Then, this is the ginger candy which we're gonna make. Those are all yummies, don't throw those out, right? That's part of the root to stem cooking, shaking off the excess. I have another pot. I'm gonna put these in for later. I'm just gonna kind of let it sit there for now. Into this though, before we add it to our other quart of water, we are adding a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. If you just have bottled right now, that's totally fine, or you can use fresh squeezed, doesn't matter to me. Add your lemon juice in here. You're going to add in a pinch of salt. It can be any salt. I have kosher salt here, but you can use sea salt, anything like that. Just a pinch, and that actually will enhance some of the flavor. You don't think so, but it definitely will. And then what you're gonna do, here's my container. You'll notice my container is literally, it has a hinge lid here so it can keep it shut. You can use a mason jar, whatever you want to do. Something with a sealed lid, because gases are going to start to kind of come together. All right, so I'm dumping my liquid in here. Again, a quart of water is in there and a quart of water is in here. And that's all you need to do. See how pretty that is? And then, this is my favorite little guy. This is live and active yeast. So, all you're gonna need is literally a pinch of that live and active yeast in here, and that is gonna make the effervescence in this ginger ale. That's it. Dumping that in, and you're literally letting it sit there and do its thing. It'll dissolve on its own. I'm covering this, and then I'm going to set it on my counter, let it sit overnight. The next morning, just release this. You'll notice gases have already started to accumulate. Then all you do is release the gases, put the lid back on. For 3 days you do that, 2 to 3 times per day. That's it. After 3 days, all you're gonna do, put it in the refrigerator and drink it for up to a week. It's good in your refrigerator. That's it. How simple is that, right? You made yourself some ginger ale. All right, onward. So, ginger candy, if you haven't had it, it's one of my favorites. It's literally ginger root crystallized with some sugar in there, and it's a delicious bite. I put it in teas, I put it in baked goods, I put it in dressings or in marinades. It's really a versatile thing. It doesn't have to just be something sweet that you eat. All right, and it has a little heat too. If you've never had ginger, it's a little zippy. That's why I love it. So I'm taking my ginger here that we pulled from our soda, putting it in my pan, then adding a 1/2 cup of water and a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. I have a candy thermometer in this, only because you're gonna put this on the heat and you're going to literally let it boil until it reaches 225 degrees. Remove it from the heat, and then I'm gonna show you what I did. I have some ahead of time than I did because you have to kind of let it sit for a bit. So, once you get the candied ginger off the stove, you remove it from the syrup and you put it on a piece of parchment paper. You let it sit for 2 to 3 hours depending on the humidity level in your house. And then what we're gonna play around with now, because it's gonna be a little tacky. You don't want it to be super tacky, but just a little bit tacky so the sugar will adhere to it. So what I have here is just, I sprinkled a little bit of granulated sugar onto a sheet pan. Now, I'm gonna take my little beautiful friends here, I'm gonna put them into the sugar, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna toss them in this sugar. And once you toss them in this sugar, we're going to turn your oven on to 175 and then turn it off, and all you're gonna do is let it sit overnight. And then, I'm gonna show you what it looks like when it's all done. But you can see, look at it. How beautiful is that? Something simple. And you can, with this extra sugar here, you can just make ginger sugar too, right? You don't throw that out. That's full of delicious flavor. And all you do is let it sit, and it's gonna dry out and be a little bit gooey, and that's what you want. So you'll put that in your oven, and let me show you the finished product here. And this is what it looks like. Again, I cut this smaller because I used it from another recipe, but essentially this is all crystallized ginger or candied ginger. And again, you can keep this for months in your pantry. It's not gonna go bad, and use it in any of your recipes. Again, baked goods. I like to put it in pancakes. You can make a nice ginger pancake from this, or ginger molasses cookies, marinades. Really something you should have in your pantry. And finally, are you ready? Look at this, we're moving along very quickly here. Finally, we're gonna make some ginger syrup. Well, you actually already made it, right? So you removed your ginger, that candied ginger we just did, from the liquid, right? And then we put it on parchment. So all we did here, that's the syrup that's left over from that. And this has so much flavor. This I made earlier. I literally just take the excess of this, I pour it in a container, and that's your ginger syrup. Keep it in the refrigerator. It'll stay for a month or two, and all you have to do is flavor anything. I'll put it in whipped cream, right? A nice ginger flavored whipped cream. I'll just put it in my tea in the morning. I'll do, instead of just a regular tea and sugar, I'll add this in for a little extra zip. Again, really something you can use there. And with that being said, we did 3 recipes very quickly here with 1 original ingredient of ginger. We cooked it from what? Our soda here, you can see it's already starting to give off some nice steam here. And this is what it will look like when it's done. How good does that look? It looks just the same as you would get in any store, your ginger ale, or you can call it ginger beer, and you can make Moscow mules, which I like to make. You can drink it straight from there. And again, keeps for 1 week in your refrigerator. Then we made our candied ginger from that. This will stay in your pantry for a long period of time. And then we made ginger syrup. If you want to go 1 extra step, you can take those peels from your ginger root and you can add those to your stock, or you can just make some simple fries or whatever you wanted to do from them. You can bake them in the oven and dry them out. Those are all good. But again, no waste from 1 ingredient. How easy is that? And you can have it in your pantry in a day. Thanks again. I'll see you later.